Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's CMZ News, aka Candace, here to give you another recap. Not on a housewife, this is actually on Britney Spears, the legendary, the iconic Britney Spears. So as you know by now, Britney released a 20-minute audio voice message where she is sharing her story for the first time since her deposition. One of the few times we've actually heard her speak since her deposition, specifically about what she's going through and how she's feeling now. So I am a little under the weather. My energy's not as high as I normally try to be, but bear with me. But I wanted to get this video out because things happen so quickly. As a matter of fact, this video was posted on Sunday and was posted on her YouTube channel, her personal YouTube channel, and then it was removed and made private. But it is actually available if you want to hear the full audio. It is available on multiple places here on YouTube, which is where I actually heard it on hers, and then I heard it on another YouTube channel as well. So Britney starts off the recording. I'm gonna look at my notes here, okay? First, let me just say though, I am a lifelong Britney Spears fan. I have been a fan of Britney since I was in high school. I was a proud Britney fan. I didn't care if anybody made fun of me being like the only black girl in my school who liked Britney. I didn't give a damn. I loved her. And ultimately, all my girlfriends ended up loving her too. I've seen her in concert, and I love Britney. Like many people, when she went through her hardships in early 2007, 2008, I was very concerned. I believed the media hype that she was not well and thought that her father had saved her, and really hadn't thought much about why she was still under this conservatorship for almost 15 years. When we would see her interview after being in these conservatorships and even see her perform or even see pictures of her, she'd be rigid, she'd be stiff. She wasn't the same Britney that we had before. And I just likened that to, oh, maybe she's on medication or whatever the case may be. And that whatever has gone on in her life that caused this conservatorship, they had to do this because this was the right thing for her. That's the narrative that was pushed. Well, once I became aware of the Free Britney movement and got more involved with that and looking into everything and realizing there was so much deception and how the media portrayed her and just how it was such an orchestrated attack on this young woman, it was mind-boggling. And I absolutely do not believe Britney was crazy. I think now she is in a situation where she has gone through traumatic things that's affected her maybe in ways that it would affect anybody. But with that said, I'm going to just go through some of the things that she said in her audio. I'm not going to recap every single thing. She also jumps around a lot. I do believe that this is Britney who has recorded these messages. I do believe that this is probably for a book that she's writing, probably recordings, interviews with the ghostwriter, and I do believe that this is Britney. I say it this way because there is a lot of speculation on her, Instagram and who's posting for her. It's not unusual for a celebrity to have multiple people attached to their social media's accounts that manage it and post. But if you follow Britney online, you see that there is a very unique way of some of her posts and things that she does post that doesn't always feel like this is something someone who is now free from this conservatorship would still do, but we'll get there. Okay, so Britney starts off the recording sharing how she has a lot going on in her head that she hasn't shared. I think that this recording came shortly after the conservatorship ended in November. Okay, I'll say that. She said that she's had lots of opportunities to share her story with Oprah and with others, and that she doesn't feel right about sharing her story for money because this isn't something that she could put a dollar amount on. She just wants to share and highlight her hardships and let anyone know that if they're going through this, she knows what it feels like to be alone because she's been alone a long time. She also shared due to judgment and fear and embarrassment because keep in mind the press has tried to embarrass Britney and still does for a very long time. So she felt that there are going to be people who are cynical, who are not going to believe that this has happened to this poor little rich white girl. That has everything. Yeah, right. She's just inserted whatever, crazy, whatever the case may be. So I think she's right to feel that way, that they wouldn't believe that this would happen to her and that she would be victimized in this way. So she shares that she started this conservatorship when she was 25 in 2008. And to this day, she does not know what she did that was so bad to deserve what has happened to her. She said the extent to her madness was playing games with the paparazzi. You remember during those times, Britney was going out. She was, shortly after her divorce from Kevin, she was having fun with the likes of Paris, Lindsay. She was just living her life. It was definitely made to seem like she was living it dangerously. She explained one night she had a sleepover with her mom and some friends and her mom's best friend. And her mom told her casually, well, some people are going to come over and talk to you today. We should probably go get a hotel, meaning her mom and the other friends. Britney is like, I didn't understand at that moment what she meant. But about 4 hours later, there were over 200 paparazzis outside my house. They were videotaping me as I was being hauled out in a gurney. And I think we all remember that scene where she was in the ambulance and, I believe the head was shaved and all that, and Britney's being carted out. I think they even said she was barricaded in the bathroom with one of her kids. I mean, it was a huge story. It was like, Britney has lost it. We're all at her house. We're going to capture her in these most horrific moment, most vulnerable moment, being taken on an ambulance for anybody, okay, let alone a celebrity, but for anyone to go through that. And that was the moment that they got her into this conservatorship. Sounds like her mother knew what was going to happen. Can you imagine your mom having a sleepover with you and your trusted best friends from your small hometown, and your mom's best friend, who was probably like an aunt to you and known you since before you were born, and they know that the next day you're going to be basically stripped of all your rights and put into a conservatorship? It's really sad, because following Britney's career, there was a time where Lynn seemed like the closest. They were very close. Lynn was everything to her. So to think that Lynn would go along with this is very crazy. So she shares that after 4 hours later, the paparazzi come. She explains how a woman, Lou Taylor, introduced the idea of a conservatorship to her dad, and he went along with it. She said that the main thing that stands out from this time is that how her father loved to control her. Her father, as you know or may not know, her father was, and we're learning a lot more about her dad. I want to say early on, when Britney's early career, it was very clear she was close with Lynn, but they didn't really focus a lot on Jamie. You got to see glimpses of Jamie, how he was, he was like this cook. He liked to, he's from the South. He knows how to barbecue and all this stuff. And he at one point was working for one of the housewives as a chef. He wanted to be a chef at one point, but he wasn't really there all the time. She didn't have that close relationship with him. Well, what we know now is she didn't have that relationship because he was abusive. He was an alcoholic. He was physically abusive to Britney, her brother. And she shared that when her brother was in high school, he played football. Again, they're from Louisiana. They're from a very small town, Kentwood. And high school sports is very serious in these towns, particularly football. And so her father was very hard on him. And she said now that her dad was getting this opportunity to be in control of her life, she said that he loved it. She also said this in her deposition, that he loved the control that he had on her, that he can now exert this control over her in the way he did Brian. It was something he enjoyed very much. So she said after being hospitalized for 2 weeks and traumatized out of her mind, she was released, still not knowing what had happened, what she'd done, why she was been put through all this. And she immediately starts working on the Circus album. They basically tell her, you're going to do what you're told or else. Some of those threats, as we know, were taking her kids. She can't see them, taking other freedoms away. She said she was told she was fat every day, that she had to go to the gym, and she felt demoralized. This is a word Britney used throughout this recording, that she was demoralized, and she felt like she was nothing. And she did what they asked her to do because she was afraid and fearful. Okay, this is her father. Okay? Her father, who told her, I'm Britney Spears, I call the shots now, after she was out of the hospital. She says in the next 4 years, through this time of this conservatorship, she did the Circus album, Femme Fatale, Britney Jean and Glory. She did the Vegas show for 4 years, and she really stressed that she was over 30 years old but under her father's control and his rules. And she couldn't do anything. Her dancers were going out partying. Everyone else could go and have fun, but her parents could socialize. Her brother, he was part of the tour now. He got a job working at one of the casinos. I mean, everyone was living off of her dime. She's employing all of these people, but she can't see them. She said she knows that her shows were terrible at that time. She wore wigs and would have a conditioner treatment underneath her wigs, and she was a robot. Again, demoralized. She said, here I am performing for thousands of people, shaking 40 people's hand a day. I am Britney Spears, a superstar. Her name is on the marquee. She's got, her, I think she was at Planet Hollywood, I think it was. Her posters are everywhere. I actually have a picture of myself from my bachelorette party. I went to Vegas. We were going to go see her show. Actually, we didn't end up doing it. You know, when you have a bunch of girls, it's hard to get all that stuff organized. But I got pictures in front of Britney when she was having her residency. And now, you know what? I'm glad I didn't see her because she was performing against her will. So I'm glad I didn't see her under those conditions, okay? At the casino. And she said, that here she is, the superstar, yet they treated her like nothing. She started gaining some confidence at some point and began when she started producing Glory. And she said somehow this helped get some sort of fire that she used to have back about performing. And she started getting confident. And those who were controlling her didn't like that she was starting to exhibit some confidence. And she started speaking up slowly about things. She's like, I'd been quiet for 15 years, but they didn't like that she was confident. Now, this wasn't exactly 15 years because Glory came out several years ago. But the last thing they wanted was for Britney to be confident, because if she gets confident, then who is in control? Who would be in control if she got her wits right? Not them. She shared a story about her hometown friends coming to Vegas, one of her shows, and they could go get their nails done and drink champagne and get a pedicure, but she couldn't do that. She wasn't allowed to do anything. My daughter's walking in. She explained that she was working so hard, paying all these people, doing all of this, but she couldn't do anything herself. Then she gets into what led her going into the 2017 facility where she was for almost half a year. She was saying that the new tour was coming up and there was a dance move that they wanted her to do in that tour. She didn't want to do the move. Simply just didn't want to do the dance move. This is somebody who has been dancing for years, who's been on countless tours, who probably understands the art of choreography now herself, and she didn't want to do a dance move. She had another idea. This is her freaking show. Well, they didn't like that she said that. They told all the dancers to leave. All the managers and everybody went into an office. They call up Jamie. Next thing you know, Jamie calls her and is like, look, you got to go to a facility. You got to do what your doctors are telling you to do. She's like, I didn't want to go to this facility. And they're like, well, you better go. And her dad tells her, well, you know what? You don't have to go. But if you don't go, then we'll go to court. And I have all the lawyers. You don't have anything. You're going to lose. Britney was scared. So what did she do? She went. They told her to put on her IG that her dad was sick and that she needed to go take care of him the same way that he took care of her. And I actually remember this because I actually remember thinking to myself, wow, it's really nice how Britney has really come to really have a close relationship with Jamie. Wow, Jamie is just this great father who's, Britney is going to stop her show to go take care of her dad while he gets his, I think they said he had diverticulitis or something like that. So that wasn't the case, though. She was forced to go to this facility because she went against them. They wanted to exert that control over her, to show her, we can take this away from you at any moment. The little freedom you had, we'll take it from you. She said she went to the facility again. None of it made sense. She was scared. In her heart, she said she felt like her heart was frozen. She was in a state of shock, and she could barely relax in her own body. She had security guards guarding her door. She couldn't drive her own car. She couldn't have keys. She had to give 6 vials of blood a day. She was physically weak from all the blood they were taking from her every single day. She had to sit in this chair. And she talks about this in her deposition as well. So she mentions this often, and to the point where I'm like, this must have really been just really traumatizing for her. She couldn't use her feet. This is a performer who is dancing, who is performing, and they make this girl sit for 8 hours, which it may not sound like anything, especially to skeptics out there, or to people who are like, poor her, she had to sit down. Well, when you don't know why you're doing this and you're being forced to give therapy, when you're being forced medication, as we know that there were times where they were upping her meds, giving her medications, not telling her why she's on it, putting her in a zombie-like controlled state. Yeah, this was hard, okay? She said she had no privacy. She had no door. They watched her change naked. She couldn't even smoke a cigarette. She said people on death row could have a cigarette. She was forced to go to AA, and she's not even an alcoholic, but she actually was able to find some sort of resolve there because she enjoyed hearing the stories of other people who are just trying to get better and better themselves and what they've gone through. She worked 7 days a week, and they monitored everything. When she was finally released, she said, while she was in the facility, even she was seeing that there was a Free Britney campaign. She mentioned the Free Britney shirts and the t-shirts and just the people bringing light to what is going on with Britney. Where is she? Why is she in this facility? Why haven't we heard from her? And this movement really did get people talking about the abuses and conservatorships in general, and that if this happened to rich Britney Spears, this can happen to anybody. She said that she saw an interview where a person was saying on the street, they were interviewing a Free Britney supporter, and they were saying, you know what, if we're wrong, and I'll be embarrassed, I'll go have a drink, but something in my heart tells me this is not right and we need to fight for her. And she said, the thing that sticks out to me is if people on the street are fighting for me, but my mom and my sister aren't doing anything, she said, it's like they liked me being bad. They liked her in this state because while she's locked up in this facility, her family is vacationing in her homes. They're using the money that she employs them on. She gets to that here as well. Her family was all in Destin, Florida, while she was in this facility. She says she cannot process how her family went along with this for nearly 5 months while she begged them to let her out. Once she got out, she did say she found some really great people who could come to her house and help her with therapy. And she thinks that the people who were controlling her, from her dad to Lou Taylor and, Larry Rudolph and all these other handlers, that they thought that she would go back to them. Well, she said she didn't. And a friend helped her get a lawyer, and Matthew, and she is just dealing with the trauma of it all. She said that she put in so much work to everything that she did, from down to how many rhinestones were on her costume to doing every single thing and putting her all into her shows. And they threw it away, and they took it all away from her. They took all the joy that she had from performing away from her. And she feels like her family threw her away. She said they put her in an ignorant state of mind to make her feel like she needed them. And I believe that. Remember, they held these children hostage over her. She has a rightfully so negative relationship with press and media and the paparazzi. She's scared. Britney has said herself how scared she is of people. She's been abused by physicians who have been seeing her. It's almost like she doesn't know who she can trust. But she said, she wasn't going to just play their game anymore. And she held on to whatever faith she had left, because she didn't mention that she had lost her faith and started losing her trust in God. She also said one day backstage, and I thought this was really, really interesting, that she needed her inhaler, and she was talking to her assistant real quick. I'm assuming it was Felicia, I'm not sure, but she said that she hid her phone under stage, but she shouldn't have had it there, but she was in a secret relationship at this point. And her and her secret boyfriend were going to leave the country, that he had made all these arrangements for her to get her out of the country. But one of her biggest fears was like what her dad would do if he found her. Would he lock her up? Would he say, see, this is proof that she's, unstable, she's running away, she left her children. How would they use this against her? And she didn't go. She was afraid he could seriously hurt her. She said multiple times during this, not this interview, but on her tape, she said, I thought they were trying to kill me. She said this over and over again. I would say at least 5 times. She said, I thought they wanted to kill me. And I think she probably really believes if she had ran away with the secret boyfriend, she didn't say who it was, so I can't say it was Sam, but whoever it was, if she had left and they caught her, that would have been it. They would have locked her up and thrown the key and proved, see, she's insane. She said despite how her father has treated her. She is angrier at her mom because she feels her mom could have gotten her a lawyer. See, her mother was always the one she looked to for comfort, not Jamie. Jamie was always scary. Jamie was always a bully. Jamie was always a drunk. Jamie was always violent. Jamie was always angry. But Lynn was her mother. She loved Lynn. So for Lynn to go along with this stuff is just sickening. And her baby sister, Jamie Lynn, who, if you know anything about Britney or watched any of her early documentaries or seen anything before this conservatorship, you know that was Britney's baby. She loved James. She was, I think, 11 years older than Jamie Lynn. She raised her. She changed her diapers. That was her baby doll. So for them to go against her in the way she has, she said, you know, her mom gives these interviews like, well, I didn't really know what to say and I didn't really want to say anything. And she kind of does her mom's voice. And it's shameful. I can't imagine it, you know. They say everyone has their price. What, you know, was this Lynn's price? The big house in Louisiana Britney's built for her, writing tell-all books about her daughter who is suffering. Britney said that she has a lot of offers for interviews from Oprah to other people, but she said this is beyond a proper sit-down interview. She wants to get her family, she wants to line them up, and she wants to yell at them. If you remember in her deposition for court, Britney said specifically she wants to sue her family. She wants them in jail. She cannot believe they got away with it. Britney's conservatorship ended November 12th, 2021. She does have new lawyers, seemingly some new team members. I do have an opinion on what I think is going on currently. It's very touchy because I feel like the Britney fandom is a little split. There are people who do not want you to question anything that is happening in Britney's life or on Britney's page or question any sort of thing. Don't question this song. Don't question why Britney, don't question anything. Don't question why Britney is still twirling around. Why is she still in her old house? Like, don't question where's her marriage license to Sam. It's not been made public. Don't question why she didn't know who was coming to her own wedding. Don't question those things because we have to just support that she's free. Well, is that not what the Free Britney movement was started on? Us questioning that things didn't look right and bringing those things to light and getting her out there. I am happy to hear from Britney in this video. She ends this video advising if you're a weird, oddball introvert like her, you're not alone. I cried at the end of it when I heard it, you guys. My husband was looking at me like, okay, but I'm like, look, I've tried to explain to him and to other people who are just like, okay, well, what's going on with Britney Spears? Tell me real quickly. It's like, I cannot tell you quickly because you're not going to understand how messed up this is, okay? But there are so many women in this world and so many people who are being mistreated. Britney happens to be one of them. She's famous. She has money. She is privileged, right? But it doesn't take away from what is happening to her is wrong, okay? With that said, I have questions. I want to know. I would like to see Britney do a sit-down interview. I want to see from her live how she's doing. I would like her to go live on her social platforms. She doesn't have to do that for me, of course. She does say she's scared, but I feel like the more she talks and controls it in her own narrative, the better. This audio definitely was edited and pieced together, which is fine. I think it was a bunch of clips. Don't know who did that for her or if she did it, but somebody didn't want that out there anymore and they took it off. I think Britney posts things and then whoever else isn't part of her account goes in, takes it off as well. I want to know who was the secret boyfriend that tried to get her out of this, but why didn't Sam try that? Why didn't Sam get her a lawyer? Why did a friend get her a lawyer? And her boyfriend, Sam, who as soon as she's free, loves her so much, marries her a few months later, he didn't do that. Maybe he has, but you know what? Britney didn't mention it. She didn't mention anything about him here. She also didn't mention anything much about him in her deposition, except that she wants him to be able to drive her. So I don't know where she stands with him. She really doesn't say much, to be honest, about it. So judgment is still out. I have my sneaking suspicions about things. So I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want this to be a conspiracy, whatever video. I just wanted to give a recap of what Britney wrote or what Britney said. Some of my thoughts. It's absolutely heartbreaking. It's astounding. It's upsetting, whatever. It's really upsetting. I hope to hear from her more. I want to hear more from her. I want Britney to get the justice she wants. I want her to use her voice and know that she can, and she is a person, and that she is not nothing, and that she means a lot to her millions of fans out there. So comment, like, subscribe, but please comment below what you think, if you agree with me, if you don't, if you just whatever your opinion is on this. Okay, have a good night.